All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back. As promised, this is the video that I discussed at the end of my Khabib video that I just put up. If you haven't seen that, I would highly encourage you to go watch that. My video about Khabib and his attack dog from earlier today. All right, so, or who knows, maybe I'll end up posting this first so you know that one's actually coming. So yeah, as you can see, I am still not in my studio. I'm still at Gabrielle's mom's house, and I will be here until Saturday now, you know? It's just a long drive, you know? She's in Palm Springs. I live in the Bay Area. It's far. Like, we went out last night. I really do not feel like driving 8.5 hours today. It's just not something I'm going to do. So we're going to be here for a little while longer. And anyway, here, I'll flip around the finder so I look at the camera for this one. Anyway, all right, so for this particular video, we're going to talk about who the best lightweight in the world is now, okay? And obviously, we're going to be taking for granted that Khabib is not factored into this conversation because it'd be a pretty boring conversation. Here's the video. Who's the best lightweight in the world? Khabib. All right, cool. Sign off. Yep. If you like the channel, subscribe and ring the bell. So we're going to talk about a couple things, right? So that's not the only topic here. So we're going to talk about who the best lightweight in the world is, active in the UFC. And we're going to talk about the difference between a dominant champion at a specific weight and then a champion who's just the champion and has not proven their dominance yet, right? And I'll go through each weight class and talk to you about which weight classes where you know the best fighter at that weight has the belt. And then the weight classes where you just don't know that yet. So that's what we're going to do. And if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell, okay? If you're new to the channel, I realize this setup doesn't look that good, right? Doesn't look that good, but this is not my setup. So I would encourage you to go back, go back a week and look at, if you think that this is garbage. I'm not going to watch some guy talking in his wife's mom's guest room. Well, scroll down on my videos, go watch one from, whenever. Anyway, but also look at the ratio between comments, views, and likes. Okay, so I have a small, subscriber base because this is a new channel, but I would encourage you to look at the level of engagement and then think you could be a part of this community that is so engaged. And we're all talking, we're having conversations, and you'll also find there are no clowns on this channel, none. I said that really early on. I actually want to bring that up to all my, people that genuinely watch my shit all the time. I said very early on, I think I only had 3,000 subscribers, and I was like, I want to make this channel a community of high level MMA fans where we have intelligent conversations in the comments and we don't have any asshole trolls. And honestly, I have no idea if anybody actually watched that video, if that's why, but that is how I feel we roll on this channel, right? How often do you see some clown in the comments with some stupid ass comment? Very, very rarely. So thank you guys and keep it up. I'm very proud of you guys in terms of your, or proud of my collection of viewers, because you're all extraordinarily high level MMA fans and I appreciate it. So anyway, also go check out my other channel if you like this content, Jesse on Everything. All right, so here we go. So here's the deal. At lightweight, now you have Conor, Dustin, Tony, Gaethje, Chandler, I guess are the five that would kind of be in the conversation for who the best lightweight is, right? Now, obviously, we're not going to have an answer here. There's not going to be any kind of definitive answer for who the best lightweight is. I'll make an argument for who I think is going to emerge as the best lightweight, and then you guys could talk about it in the comments. So I'm sure that you can guess where this is going, right? So matchups make fights, okay? So just as right off the bat, if Khabib was active, he would beat all of them for 100% sure. As far as I'm concerned, he would beat them all. But you pull Khabib off the table, I don't see anyone in that group that has exceptional takedown and then ground game. Because now, after watching what Khabib did to Justin Gaethje, I think we really need to reevaluate Conor's ground game, because Khabib literally made Justin look like it was his first day in jiu-jitsu class and he was rolling with a red belt, just utterly outclassed. And then you go look back and look at how Conor did with Khabib on the ground. Honestly, I mean, he did much better than people gave him credit for, given now how incredibly dominant you realize Khabib is. Conor did really well defending it, honestly. I mean, he got his ass kicked, obviously. He got his ass kicked. But it's not like his ground game is some tremendous weakness that can't be over. You know, like I think you have to be as good as Khabib to be able to dominate Conor like that, is what my point is. So when I evaluate who's going to fight Conor, the ground game is actually not a factor with any of those guys. Like, it's not a factor with Gaethje. It's not a factor with Tony. It's not a factor with Dustin, and Michael Chandler is only in there just because he hasn't won a single UFC fight, right? He's been fighting vastly inferior opponents, and he has some losses in Bellator. You're gonna have to convince me that he's in the same class as these guys. As a matter of fact, he's off. He's not even in the conversation. Okay, so when you're talking about Dustin, Justin, and Ferguson, none of them are going to take Conor down. They're just not. So you're talking about stand-up fights against Conor McGregor, okay? Now, we've talked about this before. Who has ever outclassed Conor on the feet? When the takedown against Khabib, he's got to be thinking about the takedown, changes the entire thing. Against Nate Diaz, prior to him getting tired, it was like Khabib versus Justin on the ground. I mean, just completely outclassed. It just happens that Nate Diaz is absolutely impossible to knock out. And so, and you know, Nate Diaz's chin is stronger than any of those guys. So the factor of like, whoever, any of them are going to get punched 35 times in the face by Conor McGregor, who has bigger power than any of the other people in the division, and just kind of like walk through it and just, you know, zombie it until Conor gets tired. That's not going to happen, right? So my opinion is that Conor's going to beat all of them, right? I think he'll beat all of them. Now, Tony is the biggest fear of. As a matter of fact, Tony is, you could certainly argue, is pretty goddamn close to Nate Diaz. But that said, actually, Tony could beat Conor. I take that back. Tony could beat Conor if he's able to take punishment like he was prior to the Gaethje fight. Because listen, like Conor is a guy who's like, if he's like a video game, you know, like if he's a video game character and you have like the bars for strengths and weaknesses, you have striking is literally, you can't get higher. Like it's like maximum and then they add some, you know, precision, timing, etc. Like all that, where anything that factors into him landing square shots on you and you not landing square shots on him, he's off the charts. Like he's just off the charts. Then you go to kind of the defense, so he gets to keep it there, and it's very, very good. Very, very high. And actually, I would even say that his ground defense is pretty fucking high, man. And then you go to his cardio, right? His ability to fight as well as he does in the first round in the third, fourth, and fifth, and that is low. Like it's low. He's shown that many, many times, right? So it's just simple to break down his fights. It's just so, at least for me, like I just look and I'm like, okay, I know exactly how this is going to go. Or it's going to go one of two ways. And with Tony, if Tony can absorb the massive, I can't even fathom the punishment that Tony will take in the first and second round against Conor. I mean, honestly, like Conor, I know people think Justin Gaethje is super high level, and he is striker. Conor is a much better striker. Like if Gaethje is landing shit like that on Tony, Conor is going to land bigger shots, more shots. He's going to put a punishment on Tony that is just, he's going to hurt him, man. He's going to hurt him bad. So it'll be one of those things where even if Tony wins, like he's going to have his spine dislodged and he's just inhuman and can take it. And then Conor will get tired, and then zombie Tony will, you know, potentially finish Conor. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Tony's stand up, he gets hit. Conor's going to hit him. Oh my God, he's going to hit him so many times. He'll obliterate him in the first round. Fucking obliterate him in the first round. And then, but yeah, so I don't know. And again, you just have to factor in other guys that seem to have these iron chins like Dustin Poirier, and Conor hits them and it's as if they got struck by lightning, you know? It's just, that's what it is. You know, you look at the Eddie Alvarez fight with Conor, and then you look at the Eddie Alvarez fight against Justin Gaethje, and look at the punishment he took and just kept coming for. It's just Conor hits on a whole other level. So I think Conor walks through Dustin. I think Conor will beat the shit out of Dustin. Or, I'm sorry, beat the shit out of Dustin. Will beat the shit out of Justin Gaethje. But Justin Gaethje, same thing. I mean, I don't think he's ever had his chin tested like that. But now he fights different, so it's not like he's just going to stand in front of Conor like he did against Dustin and Eddie. I mean, it'll be. I would love to see that fight more than anything in the world. But I definitely have Conor in that fight. Tony is a toss-up because of the Nate Diaz factor, where he just might be able to take an absolutely inhuman amount of punishment and then keep coming, and then he'll finish. If he's still there in the third round, he'll win. I mean, he will. Or certainly if he's there in the fourth round. Anyway, so I personally think Conor will emerge as the best lightweight. That is my opinion. Because candidly, listen, like, you guys, I know most people are gonna be like, oh, he hasn't fought in forever. He hasn't fought at lightweight since 2018, and before that 2015. And oh, he beat Cowboy. Who cares? Okay, well, like, did you guys not see how he beat Cowboy? He literally walked through him like he wasn't there. He finished him with a fucking head kick, because that's Cowboy's kick. Not dissimilar from Khabib being like, oh, I was going to finish Justin with something that wasn't going to hurt him. Conor's like, oh, everyone says that Cowboy's going to knock me out with a head kick. How about I knock him the fuck out with a head kick? and then he does it. He hits him with it 30 seconds into the fight, the very first one he throws, and he timed it perfect. He stood in front of Cowboy, went like this, and then just baited him into throwing that kick. I challenge you to watch that again and tell me that I'm wrong. He stood right in front of him. He waited for Cowboy to throw that kick, and then he knew Cowboy took this little glitchy reset after he throws kicks, and Conor timed him with that kick perfect. Every part of that was intentional, and that's why he's the best striker. Yeah. It's weird, man, because like, if Conor does win, like, let's say they put Conor in there with Dustin, he wins the title. Although, man, because no one wants to see Tony fight Gaethje again. I really don't. I actually don't think they should make that Dustin and Conor fight anymore, because I really think they should do Conor versus Gaethje and have Dustin fight Ferguson on the same card, and then the winners fight each other. I really think that's what they should do. But so yeah, my estimation is that Conor will be the best lightweight. But anyway, so either way, like, Khabib's going to still be the best lightweight, though. And if you see Conor win the belt, right, and then defend the belt, if you think he's not going to start calling Khabib out, you're out of your mind. And if you think Khabib, being Khabib, is going to be able to have people believe, like, 'cause this is the thing, people are dumb, okay? People are stupid, and they get hyped up, and they get whatever. Conor wins 2 fights by knockout, like, he wins decisive victories by knockout. The world will start talking, and they'll go, dude, this is a different Conor. Like, this is a totally different Conor. This Conor beats Khabib. This Conor beats Khabib. I'm telling you, that is what the clamor will be around the MMA community, because most people don't understand that matchups make fights. They won't understand it. The way that I'm telling you, like, yeah, Dustin's going to stand with Conor. Justin's going to stand with Conor. Okay, they're going to sit there and sit in his strength. Khabib's just going to take him down and smash his head in. Like, Conor could fight Khabib. This is what I honestly believe. Like, if they fought 100 times, Conor would win like maybe 5. Like, I think Khabib would literally win 95 out of 100 fights, which means that the odds of Conor beating him are incredibly low. And but I'm telling you, if the MMA community starts talking, this Conor's different, this Conor would beat Khabib. Khabib's not going to fucking take that. He's just not, man. He'll come back, he'll fight him, he'll beat him again, he'll retire. I mean, like, that's what'll happen. Like, it's what'll happen. You have to understand who he is. Like, the guy has never backed down from a challenge ever. Like, if the world is talking, he is not going to accept the viewpoint that he's scared of Conor, because that's what the narrative will be. It's like, he's scared of this Conor. It's not going to be true, but that's what people will say, and that'll bother him a lot. And then he'll come out and he'll beat the shit out of Conor, and then he'll say, what now? And then he'll retire 30-0. That'll be that. I will say this: if Islam Makhachev loses, the best odds of getting Khabib to come back and fight are if Islam Makhachev loses. And I'm not rooting for that or anything. I'm just saying I understand him. A lot of this has to do with what his father's vision was, which was he's the champion, undefeated, retires, and then Islam Makhachev becomes a champion. So if Islam is on a good run, then I don't think Khabib will come back. Like, if Islam has won 2 in a row and he's in contention for a title, Khabib's not going to usurp him and come in and just like take a title shot away from him. He won't do that. So if you want to see Khabib, unfortunately, you're going to have to root against his buddy. So, but if Conor runs through everyone and starts calling him out, who knows? I mean, Islam might go to Khabib and just be like, please go shut him up, please go crush him. Or maybe Khabib will do something smart and say, Conor has to beat, if Conor beats Islam, then I'll fight him. And then that gets Islam a title shot. And then if Conor beats Islam, then he gets to fight Khabib. Who knows? But anyway, okay, so let's go through the other weight classes and just kind of talk through which ones have a dominant champion, which ones don't, right? So let's start with the girls. So I would actually say that in every female weight class, the best female fighter has the belt. I mean, the only one where it's even a question is 115 strawweight, and as soon as Weili fights and beats Rose, assuming that she beats Rose, that's the end of that conversation too. Rose is the only contender there that has any chance of beating her. So if she beats Rose, it's a wrap. She'll be just like Valentina and Amanda Nunes. And so then you go to the guys, 125 Figueiredo. Even though he just won the belt, I think it's pretty decisive that he's the best 125 pounder. I mean, that's like, I like that he's fighting Cody Garbrandt, but I'm not even going to call Cody Garbrandt a 125 pounder until he's fought once at 125, right? So for our intents and purposes, Figueiredo is a dominant champion because he's got like the highest finish rate in the UFC that has a belt. He's a killing machine, man. So I would say yes there. 135 Peter Yan, no way. He's got a lot of challenges in front of him to prove that he's like a heavy dominant champion. 145, nope. Volkanovski, he beat Max Holloway twice, but and Max Holloway had cleared out the division, but Volkanovski's got to beat a few more challengers to say like he's decisively like he's the best 145 pounder, especially given that a lot of people think Max Holloway won that last fight. I think Max Holloway would have won that fight under one rules, and I think that Volkanovski might have like eked out a point victory there, but whatever. 155 pounds obviously is a toss-up now with Khabib out. 170, I think Kamaru Usman is he won and then defended the belt twice. Like, if he beats Gilbert Burns, then he's in like one of those classes of people. Like, if you defend the belt 3 times, you're very. I mean, if you defend the belt twice, like, yes, you're looking pretty fucking strong, man. But if he defends the belt 3 times, especially given the matchup that Gilbert Burns is, then he'll definitely be in that class. Middleweight is definitely the best middleweight has the belt. I mean, fucking without a doubt. Maybe, in my opinion, the most decisive, except for maybe Stipe, actually. Oh, no. I mean, Valentina and Amanda are the most decisive. Like, there's no one even in the fucking conversation with it. There's no girl that you look at and you're like, oh, she might be able to beat her. You just look, you're like, it's literally like feeding a fucking child to a lion. A lioness. So, but yeah, for the guys, I would say Israel and Stipe are the 2 most clear-cut best fighters. And, Stipe's proved it more times than Israel, but, like, no one is even in Israel's fucking class, man. Like, he's... That fight against Costa was bananas. It was just so clear that he's getting better. Like, I don't think I can think of a time where I've seen a champion fight a guy where the champion was so clearly, like, levels improved from his previous fight, where he already was the best fighter. Like, where he made Costa, like, you look at Costa fight against Romero, and that was an incredibly close fight, man. Like, that could have gone either way, and against Romero, partially because of Romero, he was cautious. I mean, he just fucking annihilated Costa, man. Anyway, and then 205, who knows? I mean, Blachowicz looks good, but, John Jones has left the division, so it's kind of the same thing as Khabib. And then at heavyweight, Stipe has cleared out the whole division, so obviously he's the best heavyweight, but John Jones is like a question. We'll see how he does. But anyway, that's what I got. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and let's all pray that Conor wins a couple fights, calls out Khabib. Khabib comes back, so we get to see that super fight with Conor coming off of multiple wins. It'll sell 5 million pay-per-views. Be the biggest event ever. Anyway, that's what I got. Subscribe to the channel.